Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing marvellously well. I'm here in Labaka Studios, which is Nick Selden's studio in lovely West Sussex, and I am wearing a pair of Biodynamic DT770 Pros, which, I can be honest, I'm kind of enjoying. I had the 1990s for years and really liked them. I don't know what the difference is. These sound just as good. Anyway, we're about to demo Antelope Audio's plugin range. Now, of course, you know them from their interfaces, and their plugins do come with their interfaces, I think, a certain amount. Now, of course, you can buy them as a standalone plugin. And we're going to be giving away 3 bundles. That's un, deux, trois, 3 bundles of these plugins. So stay tuned for a review and, of course, enter to win some of the plugins down below. So we have the Don't Let Me Down multitrack, which is the Aspen Pittman AP1B FET microphone that we demoed a few days ago. I'm rather excited by this because it's one of my favorite songs ever. I got to play guitar on it. We got 2 wonderful singers. Our intern, Jude, played piano on it. A wonderful player. And I think he's still like 19, like amazing. Really knows how to lay back, which I think is insane for a 19-year-old. I couldn't do that. Well, I tried hard. And then, of course, V and Caitlin, 2 wonderful, wonderful singers. V was actually 8 months pregnant when she sung this, so thank you, V. And Fernando playing both bass and drums. Wonderful musician. This is a labor of love. I think everybody involved in this song absolutely loves it. So let's check it out. So here's everything at 0.
Don't let me down.
Sounds great.
Down.
Really straightforward, clean, raw tracks.
Don't let me.
Printing a little loud there. Let's just go to all here and just bring everything down. First thing we're going to do, come out of all.
Don't let me down. Don't let.
Cool. So the first thing I did was just bring everything down. I can leave the master at 0, but brought the tracks down. So I'm going to do the quickest rough mix. To be honest, that's not actually that bad. Let's solo the drums up quickly. Here's the kick. Lots of bleed in the snare, so there's not going to be a lot of compression going down. But also, Fernando, I think he prints through a Yamaha digital mixer. It's like an all-in-one mixer with EQ and interface, everything, built in. So there's quite a lot of bleed in that snare. Let's go to the overheads. So we've got to be careful on these drums, not to over-compress, not to do too much work. I think the first thing we'll do is just gently do some EQ on the kick. And I'm going to listen to the drums all together at all times, not solo. Let's grab the BAE. BAE are a company we've loved right from the beginning. I think one of our first, maybe our first ever video, we talked about BAE. Definitely the first couple. They're one of those companies that everybody considers to be like at the top of the pile when it comes to Neve, like proper clones, not lookalikes, but actual sounds. They use like Biori switches, like these really expensive Swiss switches. Say that when you're drunk. They're really, really well made, beautifully made. So these are emulations of their preamps and EQs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pump up some 60 hertz on that kick with the whole drum mix and have a listen. Check it out. Back in. That's beautiful. Let's take a little bit of 360 out and see if we can get a bit of attack out of it. So we're going to cut some 360, which is some ugly low mids. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is just put a bit of top end, which is shelved at 10K, and see if it brings out some attack. All I'm concerned about is I don't want to boost too much top end on the snare and the kick, because this is just 4 mics on the drum kit. And I don't want like all the bleed of the other ones to come in. It's pretty tasty. So let's do a before. Here's before any EQ. On. There's a volume difference, but it's a volume difference that I want because, of course, there's a lot more low end, a little tiny bit of bite of the high end for some snap and some low mid cut. So yes, it has turned it up. I know everybody's really militant about going, hear it before and after with the volume. The point is like the difference is so massive. Hopefully you're not going to be fooled by it being 2 dB louder because of all the low end. If you boost low end or boost anything, it is going to make it louder. But it's a huge difference in for me. So let's grab the snare. I'm actually probably, just because I want to show off all the different mics, let's find a different EQ. There's a Lang here. So let's go and see what we got available. I wouldn't normally use a Lang, but I want to. Let's go here and boost some high ends. I've got it on 7.5K. Bypass it. I like that a lot. It's probably picking up a bit of hat and stuff like that, but so far hasn't bothered me. Let's go to the boost at maybe 120, 160 to 240. See, normally I do Neve 220 on a snare. So it's all right. Let's go to 240 and boost that. See if we can get some body out of the snare. That's nice. Bypass. Backle. It's actually that's pretty effective. I might use the Lang for the low end. Now, there's some low frequency droop. I don't know how much bleed there is of the kick in there. It isn't really bothering me at the moment, so I'm not going to go in surgically on something that I don't think I need to. But for EQ on the overheads, I'm going to want to cut a little bit of low mids because let's remember, of course, let's go to the 1084, because let's remember, of course, that those overhead mics are also picking up the toms. So I make sure we selected the stereo version of the 1084. So it's cut some 360. Bypass. Don't cut that much. It's actually not as bad as I thought. So I bet boosting some 110 there. I don't think I need to do anything else. I think that's the drum sound. All right, so let's have a listen before and after. So here is a before on the drums. Put it on. Really good on that line. Question is there going to be enough mids on the snare to make it cut? At the moment, it's like really nice. I'm actually going to pull up the 7.5 a bit more. Great. Let's go to the bass. I'm really digging it. So bass, we've got a DI and an amp. Throw in those two together with the drums. So there's just a couple of notes that are getting a little bit out of control here. This is not one of the tracks I'm going to be using a dynamic or a multi-band or anything silly like that on, because there's no way they had any of access to that at all. If you remember the movie Get Back, when they were doing this, I think they were putting it down to 4-track. Most of this is super live, and they had the old school red desks for a large majority of it. I don't even know if they did anything on transistor. I think it was all on tube desks. I could be wrong. My point is, whatever they did, it was primitive compared with using digital technology. So we're not going to get too carried away. So there's a part of me that doesn't actually want to do anything immediately with EQ, believe it or not. I'm going to try out some of these fancy new compressors, for instance. So here's for the DI. Let's just listen to the DI on its own just for a second. So this is the stay level, stay gauge, stay level. Okay, so that's done, does the job. Let's put the amp in. So there might be some phase polarity issues there because the low end did not increase when the two were together. Interesting. We need to delay the DI ever so slightly. So if you see here, this is I'm literally going to take the DI and we go to samples up here and it's 97 samples back. So let's just come in here, grab a delay. We just use the time adjuster and do 97 samples. Now, lots of people ask me why I don't just drag it back. You can if you want. I'm just superstitious. I like it where it's printed. So it's here before and after. So here's before. So let's put that on bypass. Night and day. Take it off. Back on. Off. Back on. I get all kinds of comments from different people. Some people are like, don't speak. Then other people say, you should stop between testing it so you can hear it without the plugin on and give us a second to clear our ears. Some people say scientifically that's actually the way to do it. All I know is like the difference is massive. If you're not hearing that, please be hearing it. Here is without it on. Here's with it on. Now, the dynamics on the amp aren't as great because it's going through an amp and there's all that circuitry in there. So actually, I'm happy. That to me is the bass sound. I could maybe do some high passing, but I'm also like, they didn't have that many sophisticated things. So here we go. So that's just with the stay 11 on it. So next thing I'm going to do is go to the guitar, played by yours truly. I'm not going to do much to it because, to be honest, it's through my Fender 65 Deluxe Tone Master, and you can have a listen to it. And if you want, people hate this, but I'm going to say it. Look at the waveforms. It's naturally compressed with the amount of drive that's going on there. I don't really need to do much to it. It sounds really good. So let's throw in Jude's keyboards. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the left-hand side of his keys and putting it more in the middle, just so there's a balance. So my guitar's panned 73% to the left, and his keys are panned more to the right. Okay, so let's get on to the vocal. Now, we've got some other fun things. There is an LA 2A, they've done an Opto 2A. Also, they've done the Tube Child as well, and a bunch of Pultecs. So why don't we decide, I think actually on the keys before I put the vocals in, why don't we use a little bit of Pultec high end? So we've got the VEQ here, which is the Pultec 1A. So I'm going to get in there and go up to 10K. Maybe you can make it more guitar area, 5K. Quite dark. You can hear the difference, but it's subtle. Let's just copy that over to the guitar, so now the same EQs on both. Little fizzy on the guitar, you heard that fizz when I cranked it. The reason why I decided to use the same EQ on both sides is for exactly that, same EQ on both sides. So it keeps the stereo kind of width. The guitar all the way over here, the piano over there, and solidifies it. High mid boost, you hear high mids best. You start to hear that pretty quickly. So we're going to try the Tube Child on the vocal.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down.
Bring the time to straight
Don't
down.
let me down. Don't let me down.
Let's go to somewhere. So, for instance, where she is at the end of the phrase here.
Don't let me down.
That's where I want to hear
Don't
it work.
let me down.
Crank the input.
Don't let me down.
So it helps that last
Don't
phrase come through.
let me down. Don't let me down.
And there's some grit and distortion going on in her voice, which I'm all for. If anybody's going to complain about that, well, yeah, it's kind of what I like about it.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down.
So I'm going to copy that setting down exactly to Caitlin's voice.
Don't let me down.
Just bring it down a little bit so it's a bit more of a background.
Don't let me down.
Nice.
Don't let me down.
Now, the Beatles would have had Fairchilds. They also would have had the Altex as well, which were obviously massively, heavily modified by the EMI engineers. But pretty close. I mean, we're in the ballpark of what was available at the time. Not necessarily any of this particular piece of gear, but definitely more primitive stuff. Obviously, 1084s didn't come out till probably 7-8 years after this. But it's the idea of using analog stuff. So let's see what we can maybe do on the master bus.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down.
I just want to hear what the Fairchild sounds like. Now, obviously, the default on the Fairchild seems to be very, very aggressive. Let's see. Let's bring down the input straight away.
Don't let me down. 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 Don't let me down.
To get it to kiss it, as it were, and I think that would be better.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down.
Gluing it. In the world of immersive audio, we seem to be getting away from that kind of glued thing that we're used to in stereo, except with the exception of the great Bob Clearmountain, of course, who is mixing and making just, I don't know, you've got to hear his mixes. They're phenomenal in immersive. They're just like what you want it to be. But a lot of immersive stuff is kind of object-based and all this kind of stuff. And so people are starting to mix a little bit like that. I do like it when things do feel like they're just a little bit more glued. That's what this is doing here. Rather nice, rather subtle. Check out the link down below. These are fun to use, particularly like the Lang EQ there. The 240 is gorgeous. The 1084's EQ is fantastic. 1073s we all know and love. And of course, the Fairchild always does the job. Stay level. So maybe that's a Tony Levin reference? Who knows? So thanks, everyone. Don't forget, you can enter to win one of 3 bundles down below here. There is a link to win one of these 3 bundles. Please download these multi-tracks and mix them for yourself. If you're an Academy member, you can upload the mix there, and we will review the mix. We'll review your mixes. I look forward to hearing everybody's mixes. Thanks, everyone. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Au revoir. Adios. Thanks, Antelope, for giving us 3 copies to give away. Goodbye.